and welcome. You're watching Business Today TV. I'm Sakshi Batra. Well, in what could be India's largest follow-on public offer of 18,000 odd crore rupees by Vodafoneidea, it's opening today for subscription. That's on April 18. The price band for the FPO has been fixed at 10 to 11 rupees, and investors will need to apply for a minimum bid of 1,298 shares and then in multiples. The company's already raised 5,400 crores from nearly 60 anchor investors. Joining in now to discuss more in detail about the FPO and the outlook going forward, Mr. Akshaya Moondra, who is the CEO of Vodafoneidea, is joining in on the show with me. Very good morning to you, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. Now, this will be India's biggest FPO if successful. Are you confident of its subscription, considering the ongoing sell-off in the markets and, of course, concerns around the huge debt on the company, sir?
So I would say that we have done the anchor allocation, which we have disclosed to the stock exchange. We have some very strong names there, leading investors like GQG, Fidelity Management Research, UBS, RWC. From the foreign portfolio investors, these are the large ones. From the Indian investors, we have HDFC Mutual Fund, Motilal Oswal Mutual Fund, Bond Mutual Fund. And from the Indian insurance companies, we have SBI General and ICICI Pru Life. So a good mix of very strong investors. We also have some HNIs there, which provides for a bit of a diversity, and there's a lot of interest there also. I think the most important part to me is that as far as the anchor book is concerned, the allocation to hedge funds is less than 5%, which kind of reflects the strength of the book. So
right.
Based on this, the rest of the process is a book build process, but definitely the experience with the anchor book has been very good.
Right. So could you also share with us the key objective of the issue? What are the specific goals that Vodafoneidea is aiming to achieve through this fundraise?
So the total fundraise is 18,000 crores of the FPO, out of which 12,750 crores is for Capex. 2,175 crores is for spectrum, and the balance is for general corporate purposes. Now, out of the 12,750 crores of Capex, about 5,700 is for 5G, and the balance 7,000 is for 4G, which is a mix of expansion of coverage and capacity growth. Now, just want to be clear that this is not the entire funding or the entire Capex plan. This is a part of our overall funding plan, which also includes some contribution of 2,075 crores from promoters, which has also been approved and in the pipeline. And we are also in discussion with our lenders for providing us debt funding. So this is a part of the overall thing, but we are in the process of fixing up the rest of the funding to cover our growth Capex requirements in a comprehensive manner.
Okay. So could you also tell us what happens to the debt position after this fundraise? Are you going to be repaying a part of the debt?
So firstly, the funding, as I mentioned, is for growth Capex. So it has nothing to do with debt repayment. But let me tell you, we have repaid about 17,000 crores of bank debt over the last 2 years. And our bank debt as on end of February stands at less than 4,500 crores. So the bank debt has come down to a very low figure now compared to the overall size of the balance sheet. Our larger payment obligation towards the government is the larger obligation, which is something which we have to address. But from a bank debt perspective, it is at a very low level right now.
Okay, so you rightly pointed out, of course, there are the AGR issues. You still have to pay the rest of the payment. What are your plans for it? Are you looking for an extension of moratorium from the government, a partial waiver on AGR dues, and further relief from the government? What are you hearing in your conversation?
So we have a curative petition in the Supreme Court. Since the matter is sub judice, I will not be able to comment on it. But let us say that it remains pending, and the conclusion of that is still to happen. So that is point one. In terms of what happens after the moratorium, I would want to highlight that in the government reforms package, there was a provision that if you opt for deferment, then of course this deferred installments over what is not paid over the 4 years creates a separate series of installments to be paid from October 25 onwards. Including both spectrum and AGR. It's not only AGR. And the reforms package provides that if the government can convert these installments into equity at the government's option. So our understanding is that this was incorporated in the reforms package because the government could foresee that while our operations would improve and cash generation should improve when investments happen, whether it would be sufficient to meet the double stream of payments post the moratorium. And hence, this is already contained in the reforms package. And we believe that if required, we can request the government to convert. Whether the government chooses to convert or defer it further, of course, it is their choice. But there is a base case provision in the reforms package already.
Okay, so you do have a plan in place to discuss with the government to convert a large part of the dues to equity. That's what essentially you're saying.
I'm not saying that we have a plan. I'm saying this is a situation which will have to be assessed at that time. The government, on its own end, has provided this flexibility in the reforms package already. What will actually happen, we'll have to see how much is our cash generation at that time, what is the requirement to be paid, which we of course know. And curative petition could also impact those amounts which have to be paid. So it's a multiple things which are involved, and we'll have to assess it when we reach the end of moratorium.
Okay. So also the shareholding pattern after this fundraise, how is that going to change? Promoters are also expected to participate in this fundraise as well. So could you give us some more details on that?
So post the FPO and post the fund infusion by the promoters, we expect that the promoters should come down to about 38%. This is assuming the FPO is at 11 rupees at which the anchor investors have come in. And the government will get reduced to about 24%.
Okay. So also there was an initial plan to also additionally raise about 25,000 crores through debt route. Do you see that happening in this current financial year on the same? And would that additional debt cause further financial stress for you? What is the plan there, sir?
So as I said, our bank funding is down to 4,500 crores only. So any further bank debt is not going to put stress on the balance sheet. The larger issue is the government obligation, which has to be handled separately. So we are in discussion with the banks. I would not want to put a number there, but we are in discussion with the banks, and that is a part of our overall funding plan.
Okay. So the other important factor is that you have a dwindling market share. That's been a concern for some while. How does the company now plan to address customer concerns, improve satisfaction levels to retain the existing subscribers and also win back the lost customers now?
So let's say this is what we do day in and day out. So I would give you just some indicators which will kind of let you understand where the situation is. Firstly, today our share of new customer acquisitions is higher than our market share. So we are able to attract customers more than our market share. Our challenge is that we continue to lose subscribers. If you will see for the last 10 successive quarters, we have grown our 4G subscribers, although our overall subscribers have been declining. We have grown our ARPUs every quarter for 10 successive quarters. Our revenue and EBITDA over this period of time have been increasing gradually. What we intend to do now is to make these investments, which will mostly help us with the coverage of 4G. And once 4G coverage gap with competition is bridged, we believe we are hopeful that we will be able to arrest the loss of subscribers and start participating in the growth of the industry. So it's the investment which we have been lacking over the last 10 quarters, even with very limited investments and loss of subscribers, we have improved our performance. With investments and with arresting the loss of subscribers, we believe we'll be able to do that more meaningfully. And let's see as things fold up.
Vodafoneidea has not reported annual profit since 2016. What is your outlook on the earnings? By when do you hope to see the company turning profitable, sir?
So I would only say that all throughout these very difficult times, we have always been cash EBITDA positive. So the company is generating cash. PAT will take a longer time to address, but the most important thing for this company is liquidity, cash flow, investments. And as I said, we have always been cash positive. So we are raising the funding to make the investments. The rest of the things will come from better performance.
Okay, so all the very best to you for this FPO, sir. Many thanks for speaking to us, and here's hoping for more interactions to understand more in detail about the growth outlook going forward, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sakshi.
Thank you so much, sir.